So, as per our discussion, we've learned that movement always happens because of the y axis, whereas the shifts are just curves moving to the right and the left. Whenever you're showing an increase, you move to the right or downwards. It actually means the same thing. Now, technically, the way to read it is this: the two units that you were producing at 60 rupees per unit, which in the beginning you were producing for 100. So, two units you were producing for 100 rupees each. Now, because of cost of production going down, you are able to produce the same at lower price. So, you can actually say when the supply curve increases, it shifts to the right or it shifts downwards. They both mean the same thing. They both mean that the supply has increased. If you want to see by how much, you just do a dotted line and see at 100 price you were initially supplying 2 units, now you're supplying about 4. Similarly, if the supply curve shifts to the left or upward, that means the cost of production has gone up or productivity has fallen down, and depending by the horizontal change by how much it has decreased. Now, factors that causes the supply curve to shift, mainly there are two reasons. One is cost of production changes, and the other reason is that productivity changes. Okay? Now, cost of production has various reasons built in. For example, if the price of raw material increases, like the price of apples increases, then the supply of apple juice is going to fall and shift to the left. If wages and salaries go up because the labor protested and were able to negotiate a higher wage rates, again the producers will have less money to do production, they'll produce less, and the supply curve will shift to the left. Third is about cost of borrowing. It is similar to interest rate, which the central bank decides, and then the banks charge you an X amount on the loans that you've taken. Now, if the central bank decides, let's lower the interest rate, like it happened in COVID just now, interest rate went down, producers have more money left in hand, they were able to produce more, and supply shifted to the right. Whenever you are writing about subsidies, make sure you always define it. Subsidies are financial incentives given to producer to increase output. These subsidies, in a way, reduces the cost of production. That's what they do. Because it just gives additional amount of money to the producers that here's the money, produce more. And so, if the government decides to reduce the subsidy, like to Karachi Electric, which is now KE, then the supply of electricity will reduce and shift to the left. Another one, indirect taxes, I feel is very important. We've already discussed about direct taxes, how it affects the demand curve. Now, these are indirect taxes which are imposed on goods and services. Producers have to pay for it. Okay, the government charges the producers for it. And if the government decides to increase the indirect taxes, the cost of production goes up, and so supply is going to fall down. Similarly, if technology has improved, productivity has increased, you will be able to produce more output. If there are more number of suppliers in the market, again, more supplier means more output, supply increases. Now, price of related goods produced. Now, I'll change this example from this to something simple, like apples and oranges, let's say. You have one piece of land, and on that piece of land, you can either produce apples or oranges. Okay? So, what happens is that the price of apples go up. So if the price of apple goes up, then as a producer, would you like to produce more oranges or lesser oranges? We're saying if two goods are substitutes, if the price of apple goes up, I don't want to produce oranges, I want to produce more apples and sell. Now, one might be thinking that consumers will buy less. That's true, but that's the demand problem. We're talking about the supply and the producers. From the producer's point of view, he's thinking that orange, we should produce less of it, okay? And so as a result, the supply of orange is going to shift to the left. These are about koi bhi production karte हुए the two goods which might be substitutes. Complements are the two complements are like jointly supplied. That's another name for it. Let me write it over here. We've done jointly demanded, the two goods which are used together. We saw it in MCQ where we saw television and electricity. Both goods work together. Jointly supplied is from the producer's point of view, that if you produce one good, there is a byproduct of it. For example, if there is an increase in the price of beef, what should beef producers do? Well, cut more cows, let's supply more beef in the market. But when you cut more cows, automatically the supply of cow leather increases in the market. All right, because cow leather is dependent on the market of beef in a way. And so that's how this one will work. And lastly, what about the expected future price? If you are going to expect that the price will rise in the future, then it's better to save the product for the future. And as a result, your current supply is going to go down because people will start hoarding it. संभाल के रखो, बाद में बेचेंगे जब अच्छा रेट मिलेगा.